Well, g'day, folks. Here I am, sitting in the car park at the airport. It's whatever time it is, must be nearly 6 o'clock, yeah. I've just had an hour and a half really good meeting, really interesting meeting. And I think there is certainly more to the meeting and the people behind that going forward for all of us. But it's going to be an interesting educational battle. So I'm not going to talk too much more about it now, but suffice to say, it was a meeting that I have been sceptical that would ever happen. I don't know what I expected out of the meeting, but what I got out of the meeting is not what I expected, if I expected anything. I've come away from this meeting deeply moved, touched. In some, I'm still processing it. I think I'm almost in shock. So I'm trying to process it, and I really just wanted to do this live to let you know that I'm going to be late tonight for a show, if indeed I get there the way I'm going. I've had a lot of meetings. I've been on the phone since 7:30 this morning. It hasn't stopped ringing, and I haven't stopped making calls after I've got off a call. Part of that was this meeting was born out of part of that today. And it's interesting because I thought my day today was going to go in a completely different direction. And it's gone nowhere where I thought it was going to go. And I've been touched at a very deep level, and I'm still processing how. So I will tell you that I had a meeting here at the airport with Uncle Juma, a long chat with him, and I've recorded that chat. I'm not sure how good the audio is going to turn out given we were outside in the car park and all that sort of stuff, but I will share that chat. I also had the opportunity to meet King Ulukai and Craig Aldridge, of course. Like I say, I don't know what I expected out of the meeting, but what I've walked away with out of the meeting is a deep desire to learn a lot more. There is a lot more to what's being said here. And any of the fears that I may have had in the back of my mind, I've been very direct with and open with in this meeting today, and they've been very direct and open back again. And I have no more of those fears. I'm just, like I say, I'm still processing how I'm feeling. I'm quite surprised at how I'm actually feeling. I'm just not the kind of person who sits in his car and does a live from an airport car park. But I felt I had to sit down and say something. And do it now. Sounds like I'm getting a cold. There is a lot of deep spirituality that we are missing in this country. I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about cultural identity for white and black. I'm talking about something bigger than religion. The Creator, call it God. Don't nail a religion to it. The spirituality of this country, the core of this country, and something we are all going to have a conversation about at some stage is translations. Because translating certain things into our Western language, if you like, may not come across exactly the way that everybody would be hoping for. So we are on a path now, folks. A path of learning, I hope, and a path of educating. If we can be educated, we can educate others. I feel very positive that we've laid the first foundation stone in our cultural learning today. And I do feel that the Voice of Freedom might be an opportunity, or might have an opportunity to help spread some of the information that's already available through other channels, and start have a chat, no doubt. So I'm going to head home from here, but it is the time of the night where all the dickheads are out, and it's probably going to take me a while to get back there. I'm still processing what's happened. It's I can't describe how I'm feeling. It's I have no words at the moment. I'm still processing it. But know that it's hit me pretty deeply, put it that way. So listen, folks, I'm going to go home. Rest assured that John Wilson and I did return okay from Coffs Harbour. We wound up having such a good conversation in the car on the way home. I wish to God I'd recorded it. We would have ran out of all the GoPro batteries. But it was a very, very interesting conversation. And of course, we have many plans going forward. So expect more from John and the log of claims very soon. You'll see a new draft shortly. That's important. And that log of claims is something that we really want to focus on. We want to fine-tune. The appendix is something we are going to need to talk about. It's going to need a bit of fine-tuning too, and I don't think at this point, at any rate, it belongs in the log of claims. So moving forward, I think you'll see some pretty big changes in that in the coming days and weeks ahead. Hot lemon and honey drinks. Thanks, Narelle. Yes, I will clear that up. My nose is just won't stop running for some reason, and I walked out without a hanky. Not such a good Boy Scout at all. So yeah, it was just a really interesting, for somebody who went to a meeting not really knowing what to expect, to walk away from it feeling the way that I am, is a very big surprise. Can I just say that to you? And now I need to try and figure out how to put that into words that you'll understand, and that I'm not going to sound like a complete tool saying. Guess that's why they used to call me a wordsmith. We shall see. So yes, John Wilson will be on one day this week, and so will Darren Bergworth back for another chat. We will be chatting log of claims, amongst other things. So let me just see how I go with the traffic, battling my way home from the airport tonight. It's always fun, especially at this time. And there may not be a show tonight. I will be uploading John Wilson's speech from the Coffs Mega Rally. I recorded it just on a GoPro. I haven't had time today to even get it off the GoPro, so I'll rip it and I will post it up on the Nun 2K and the Rumble Voice of Freedom channel. I'll probably throw it up on Facebook, see if they can't get me banned there. I don't think he said anything too much that was going to get me banned, actually, now that I think about it. But we'll have that up for you in the next 24 hours or so, so that you can have a listen to the great man himself. But if you haven't already got yourself a copy of the log of claims, get a hold of one. You can go to vofhq.com. Don't worry so much about the appendix at the moment. Just focus on the first pages of it, if you like, the log of claims, and we want your feedback on that. Good, bad, indifferent. What would you change? And of course, if you have the previous version, you can refer back to that, and you can see where the changes are. It's mainly in architecture, not so much, and wording to a little extent, but it's mainly architecture of the document. There's some beautiful artwork that's on there now too. So, and more changes to that artwork I think is coming. So get across that and we'll have another discussion during the week. There's some big things happening this weekend, and I'm meant to be out trying to do probably one of the biggest things I can for this movement, for Voice of Freedom, for you, the people. And you guessed it, it requires raising money. So we have an opportunity, folks, to build a platform, and that's going to require a bit of money. So it's a bit more than $1.25 a week can muster. So I'm out this week trying to find how we can generate some support for that. A lot of people say they're going to support and find it very difficult to put their hands in their pockets, or their business hand in their business pocket. I'm trying to make that easier for them. And if that becomes easier, if you're a business that would like to support this and you want to hear more about how we're going to do it, then I encourage you to get a hold of me at carl@vofhq.com. I'm looking for 10 businesses or 10 companies or 10 individuals who will come in on a company with essentially guaranteeing your money back in that company. It's only to buy certain equipment that we need this investment. But once we've got it, the Voice of Freedom will take its next step. And you will see a lot of changes. You will see a lot more content from a lot more people. That's the plan going forward, folks. So, and today, the meeting this afternoon just added another whole heap of hours of content, many hours of content, for us to learn and educate ourselves with. So going forward, that's what the Voice of Freedom, I hope, will be able to share. Not only just your voice and your education, but the education of everybody who's working for our sovereignty, everyone who's working for we the people, and we will endeavour to always silence those who don't. So today's been a very, very, very big day. I haven't stopped talking all day. It's been a long time since I've had a day like that. And particularly the last hour and a half, 2 hours, the conversations that I've had have reached, well, have just touched me in a place I don't think I've been touched before. And geez, I went to a Catholic boarding school. I hope you're laughing at that. It's a pretty sick joke, but hey, I'm full of sick jokes. All right, folks, I am going to make an attempt to head home. Stu, free Aussie Cossack, please. I have absolutely no control over freeing the Aussie Cossack. I would like to see him freed. I am just bereft of ideas on how to actually free him. With what's gone on, or at least my understanding of what's gone on, he's been tried in absentia. He has been sentenced to a term of imprisonment. And should he step outside the Russian consulate, not under the protection of the Russian government, then he stands the risk of being, or not the risk, he will be arrested. He will be thrown into silver water immediately, and it will be from his cell in silver water that he will have to fight his way out through appeal of a conviction that was delivered to him while he was unable to attend, and not even on a day where he was scheduled to attend. So they've railroaded him. There's nothing surer about that, and this is in effect the reason, I believe, why he headed to the consulate, because it's the only safe place in Australia for him. No police force in the country would have hesitated to arrest him had he have moved states. He and Mrs. Cossack had have come up here in Queensland or gone to Victoria. I mean, I'm sure Avi would have hidden him in Melbourne for a while. We certainly would have hidden him up in Queensland for a while, but we can only do so much. And what happens when, you know, the badges and the guns turn up? So no, he chose, I think, probably the only option, the only reasonable option that was open to him, and that was applying for asylum through the Russian consulate. Now, since he's gone in there, his presentation, his editing skills, everything has gone through the roof. But unfortunately, he's been entirely limited to becoming a reporter on the Ukrainian-Russian war. And while I applaud that, and certainly don't dismiss that in any way, shape or form, the Aussie Cossacks channel was originally built on something very different. And because of circumstances, the fact that he's locked up the way he is now, he doesn't have free rein on the streets, he's been forced to modify the way that he presents his program. And personally, while I think he does what he's doing really, really well, I don't think that is his best skill. I believe, and I've spoken to him about it before he went into jail, because we were talking about doing something together. And I said to him, you have a very, very good skill. You have a skill that very few Australians possess, and you have the persona to pull it off. So stick with that. It's a very good strength, and we can make use of that going forward. Now, unfortunately, because of his situation, he can't use that skill. He's had to develop other skills, and I take my hat off to him for being able to do it. Unfortunately, it doesn't really matter what skills you develop. When they take your platform off you, you go quiet. You go back to zero, and you've got to start again. I'm unsure how many platforms the Cossack is on. To be honest, I haven't followed, well, since they took down his YouTube channel, I haven't really followed too much, and unless he's appealed that and got that back, and I haven't seen any alerts or anything, but then again, you probably don't see any alerts from mine either, so that's no indication of whether or not you're back on. I'd be surprised if he hadn't set up a Rumble channel or a BitChute channel. I'd be very surprised. But there is very little money, in fact, no money in BitChute, and very, 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 very little monetization or value for monetization, if you like, in Rumble. I think it took me 4 months to get something out of Rumble, and I think it was $1.52 from memory. So, yeah, Rumble is, if you're doing it to try and make money out of it, Rumble, unless you've got, hundreds of millions of followers, I suppose, is not probably your platform. But as we all know, I'm not doing this to make money, and I do hope that people get to go and see it, and I'll put it on as many platforms as I can. Speaking of which, hello to Daniel and the crew from Project Matilda. You might have noticed, folks, that tv.Project Matilda is down, or the streaming is not available on Project Matilda because it came through that site. Project Matilda itself has had a really big revamp. It looks absolutely great. Very much like Facebook, I suppose, and Gab, but I really like the new makeover for it. Go and have a look if you haven't, projectmatilda.com, and go and join up. It's free and it's Australian. Everything is owned here in Australia and onshore, and all comes out of the brain of a young man named Daniel, who is working his butt off to get us back live streaming on that channel. Costs being what they are, he's had to slim things down a bit. But we're still trying to open up that portal to be able to stream on projectmatilda.com, and that hopefully will happen very, very soon. Many people can't get into Project Matilda for months, Jacqueline. Okay, yeah, look, I believe there has been problems, particularly with the tv.Project Matilda site. I'm not sure about the memberships. I've had no trouble logging in or getting into Project Matilda. Not that I can think of anyway, off the top of my head. But when I get home, I might give it another go. Yeah, thanks, Darryl. I understand what you're saying there. That's a good point. Spider webs or strands all over the ground today, hanging off branches. Oh, yeah. Isn't it about that time of the year where we have those sorts of... It's all gone dark for some reason. Maybe the batteries decided to turn off. Shit, that'll be fun if I flatten the battery. Hang on. Oh, we've had a win. Really... Better turn the radio off or I'll get taken off the air. There you go. A bit worried. I thought they'd... there you go. Turn the light off. So I guess that might be a signal that I'd better get going. Yeah, good. Thanks. That's the dickhead catcher, the digital dash cam that I've got floating around up there, telling me to turn my lights on, even though my lights are on. XRP up 54%. XRP had a 5% drop or something a couple of days ago. I did hear that Bitcoin won the SEC case, so that I beg your pardon, that XRP won the case. So yeah, that was a SEC case, SEC versus that lot, and clearly that's obviously a big decision. It's going to mean some big things coming up in the next day or two. I'm going to have to go home and check all that out. How's your day going in tonight? My day has been pretty wild, very wild. Yes, I think they are spider webs doing a little migration through your thing, particularly in Queensland. That happens, and then you get the golden orb spiders, which string a web across your garden that'll take your head off if you're riding through on a motorbike. They're strong enough, like garrotting you. Okay. It's not over. It went up 74% before the drop. All right, Daniel. Cheers, mate. I haven't been watching it, but that's got to be a very powerful thing for XRP to now have won that case against the SEC. That's going to be a big thing. So probably the days and weeks ahead, we're likely to see some pretty interesting stuff come out of that. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get going. It's peak hour at the bloody airport. Cars going in, cars going out. Having limousine driver flashbacks, for God's sake. If you're out on the roads, folks, be safe and please try and avoid the dickheads. I'll see you maybe a little later on when I get home. If not, don't forget I'll upload John Wilson tomorrow.